don't have to wait until you reach financial independence to start enjoying your life. You can do that much earlier and start living a life that you love and that's true to you. Welcome to Freedom Before FI. Using FIRE and life design techniques, we help you create freedom on your way to FI instead of waiting until you're retired to do the things that light you up. I'm your host Greg, a FIRE movement and life design enthusiast. If you're itching to get freedom now, then let's do this. Hello again and welcome back. So in the next few episodes, I'll be discussing some key life decisions you kinda have to get right. If not, it could really impact your financial independence journey and actually your overall life in general. So in this episode, I'll be kicking this series off with the decision of choosing the right life partner. If you do want to have a significant other in your life, whether that's a long-term girlfriend, boyfriend, or your spouse, it's definitely wise to assess if they're likely to be taking money away from you or helping you add more to the freedom pot. So why is this important exactly? So it's probably no surprise that finances are one of the top reasons for conflict in a relationship. In a recent national survey in the US, they found that the top 3 reasons for divorce were, the third one was infidelity at 55%, secondly was arguing too much at 56%, and then the top was lack of commitment at 73%. Now, arguing too much was the second highest reason. And what do couples argue about? Yep, finances. Finances was one of the top runners. So according to the Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers, problems relating to money are a major reason why marriages break down. The statistics showed that couples that argue about finances at least once a week are 30% more likely to get divorced. So, if achieving FI is really important to you and you're with someone who's really not on the same page financially, life could get hard, especially if they're on the other end of the scale. Like maybe they love spending on random things they don't really need, maybe they don't have a financial plan, maybe they have a lot of high interest debt, or they spend to impress others, like buying fancy clothes, buying the latest gadgets, going out all the time. As you can see, this is far from ideal if you're pursuing financial freedom. Not only will your FI journey take longer, you'll likely be adding to the statistics I mentioned earlier, and losing your sanity in the process. However, if you're on the same page when it comes to finances or singing from the same hymn sheet, as we say in the UK, the benefits multiply. If you're both aligned financially, you'll both find creative ways to save or earn more. You'll have a financial plan together and can work as a team. You'll even be each other's accountability buddies. You could even combine your finances, increasing the freedom pot. Essentially, there'll be less friction as you have the same goal. One thing to bear in mind is that both sides of a couple don't have to be FI enthusiasts. Typically, there's one person who loves spreadsheets and budget trackers, and then the other one still needs convincing, but they won't do anything crazy with their money. They'll happily let the FI advocate take charge and they'll just join the ride. But of course, if both sides are FI enthusiasts, for sure you'll get to your goals much quicker. So anyway, I think we can agree that choosing the right life partner is probably one of the most important life and financial decisions we have to make. With that said then, how do we choose the right life partner? I suppose I can only tell you how I done it, and I could say that it's worked out for me. Before I met my awesome wife, I had a clear idea of what values would make an ideal life partner. I actually wrote these down. So a few examples included being family orientated, having responsible spending habits, not being materialistic, and having a good sense of humor. Of course, no one is perfect by any stretch. That includes ourselves, and you can't expect the other person to tick every box for you. That's why I split my list into must-haves and optional. As long as my must-haves were ticked, that was fine. The optional list were just bonuses. So some example must-haves for me were that they had to be respectful to my family and friends. And an important one was being a non-smoker. Smoking is definitely not the one. Some optional ones were like being a good cook or being sporty. A bonus if they were ticked, but not a big deal. Because, I love cooking myself. And maybe like the sporty thing is something they can adopt later on. Anyway, the most important things that I looked for were values and behaviors. Similar taste in things were good, but just not the priority. So if you are looking for a life partner, here are 3 outline steps you can take to try to make sure you're choosing well. I mean, it's better to have a strategy than none at all. Okay, so number 1 is to make a list of 8 to 12 values or characteristics that you'd love to have in your ideal life partner. Perhaps you can reflect on your own values for inspiration. And it's always good to have shared values as well, isn't it? Okay, the second step is to circle all the must-have ones and the deal-breaker ones, i.e. the ones that are really important to you. And then anything remaining would be classed as optional. And then the third step is to actually go on dates. Observe the other person's behaviors. Do you guys vibe? That's what dates are for. They're like little job interviews. So interview them in air quotes. Like find out if they have debt, what they spend money on, what they like to do on their free time. Of course, you won't ask some serious questions on the first date. You got to keep it light and fun. But you can likely sprinkle in those little questions on later dates if they pass the initial vibe check. You can also tell a person's values by seeing what they spend their money and time on. Back in episode 24, I had a great chat with Steve from the Frugal Expat. We actually had similar experiences on our first dates with our spouses. So for me, just on the first date, I already knew my wife wasn't a super spender. We just ended up sitting on a park bench, overlooking the lake, chatting, eating bread rolls. No fancy European dinners or expensive amaretto sours. Just simple food and great company. Anyhow, as you can see, choosing the right life partner is absolutely essential on your journey, and one we shouldn't take lightly. We need to be really diligent with this. Because as it says on the tin, they'll be your partner for life. You'll be together for a long time, so it's worth getting it right. Thank you for spending your time with us today. If you need more help, you can check out our free guides and services on our website, freedombeforephi.com. If you have a burning question or just want to chat, don't hesitate to drop me an email at greg@freedombeforephi.com. If you found the show useful and want to be notified of future episodes, you can click follow on Spotify, Apple, or the app you're currently using right now. If you think the episode will help a friend or a colleague, feel free to share it with them. And lastly, if you learned just one good thing that will help you in your journey and you want to help us out, please do leave a 5-star rating on your podcast player app. That would help us out loads. Okay, so that wraps up the first one in the series, and I'll catch you on the next one. Please don't hesitate to email me if you do have any questions. And as always, practice gratitude, live life by your design, and do things that make you smile. You got this.